Yo, what is up, y'all? This is Damage Per Second Podcast. That's DPS Podcast, episode 210. And we are back on a fine Thursday night, feeling all right. I'm here, your co-host, Mr. SloMoBackSlap, here with my co-host, Mr. Gaming Forte, aka Nautical, aka bodying folks in Call of Duty. What's up, Nautical? What's going on, man? What you up to?
What's going on, man? I don't know what you're talking about, man. When I play with you, I feel like you be bodying people on a whole nother level. But you know, it is what it is. I getting better, definitely getting better. But outside of that, man, no, just checking out all the stuff that's been going on the interwebs. You know, ready to talk about all this stuff that's happened over the course of the last couple of days. And you know, I'm really interested to talk about how everybody was getting cucked by Jansen during the Nvidia stream and thinking it was more than it was gonna be. And then all of the content creators after the fact come out and say, whoa, hold up now. So I can't wait to talk about that. But other than that, Slomo, it's been a great day and a great week. So what about you, man? Oh, and I've been playing Call of Duty, and that's pretty much it.
Oh well, I've been good. I mean, look, I still haven't got out of my funk where I don't really feel like playing a single player game right now. I'm kind of working my way out of it. Partly, I would say that's because I have been playing Cyberpunk again. And I got this playthrough with Cyberpunk because I've experienced every ending except the secret ending, and I've mentioned this before. And I want to do the secret ending. I'm actually going to stream it on this channel because it's from what everyone says is fantastic. It's a great ending. I mean, I'll just say what it is. I already know what's going to happen. I just want to experience it. But essentially, like, you get near the end of the game, and you have some choices on how you want things to play out. There's a lot of choices actually. But if you don't say anything for like 5 minutes, then Johnny Silverhand, like Keanu Reeves, offers another option. And this other option is forget, bringing our friends into this and potentially having them die, from this basically suicide mission. Why don't you and I do this together and we'll just run it solo? And it apparently they ramp up the difficulty. The enemies are stronger. Their levels are higher. They do more damage. But it's apparently freaking epic. And it's the only ending I haven't done yet. So, the reason why I haven't done it yet is that there is a specific dialogue in a mission that you have to do it in the exact way. I don't like how CDPR did this, but whatever. But you have to do this dialogue in a very specific way in order to trigger the option to come up. And so with all of my other characters on PC, I didn't do that option, that dialogue correctly. And so I started the playthrough and I did the dialogue correctly. Now I just kind of need to get to the point where, I've done everything, finished everything, and then I can just go to it. So I'm working on that. I'll get that done probably within another week or two, and then I'll stream the ending. Nice. Shout out to CDPR for having cloud saves, because I started that playthrough on PlayStation, but I can actually stream the ending and play it, on my PC with the better looks and frame rates and everything.
Play it the way it's played.
Right, through the cloud save deal. So all I had to do was essentially like lock in my CDPR account and link it to my PSN account. Mm-hmm. And then all my cloud saves for PSN can now show up wherever I have Cyberpunk, which is on Dagon near everything. I have it on Xbox too, so yeah. Anyway, there's that, and of course, you're looking at Call of Duty footage. I've been playing a lot of Call of Duty. I hit Prestige 4. Yeah, I'm
as a monster.
If I played tonight, I could probably hit Prestige 5. I'm still trying to get diamond weapons, and getting the camo, all the camo. So like I'm up to 6 gold ARs, and I just need 1 more gold AR to get diamond, and I'm up to 4 gold SMGs, and I need to get 2 more gold SMGs to get diamond. And after that, I don't care about camos. I don't give a damn after that. So.
I know every time you see somebody with a diamond one, you're like, I want diamond.
Right. And it's just, I should have focused on it like when everyone else was focusing on it before people started prestiging. I started prestiging and didn't really think about it. But then it's like when you prestige, you lose access to certain weapons. And so you got to level up and get the weapon.
That's the main reason I haven't prestiged yet.
Yeah. Shout out to DC Gaming in the chat. I think I saw DC on Twitter talking about how he's still enjoying Call of Duty. He says he's got diamond ARs. Congratulations, man. And he says he's working on SMGs now. Yeah, that's pretty dope, man. I'm trying to do both at the same time. I probably should have just focused on one or the other, but it is what it is. But I'm still enjoying Call of Duty. Been playing a lot of it lately, so it's been a good time. What else? Marvel Rivals. Still playing Marvel Rivals. I kind of gave up on trying to get my rank up because I've been mostly playing it solo. And I've tried solo ranked, and look, I know some people said it wasn't too bad for them. The teammates I get are horrible.
Horrid, dog.
Absolutely 1000% garbage. And it's just like, I'm like, what are we doing? How in ranked am I like, I'm choosing strategist or vanguard, and everyone else wants to be a duelist. Like the entire squad wants to be like, this is ranked. What are y'all doing? Like it's just, so I just gave up on it. At this point, I'm playing and I'm just trying to learn more characters. Like I talked about last week about how Storm is pretty dope, and I think she's a bit underrated. And I think she needs a buff. I think they came out with patch notes talking about the new season. I think it starts this weekend, and I think that new season is supposed to have I know they did some buffs on like Cloak and Dagger, which is my main strategist, and I'm happy about that. I know they did nerfs for Black Panther and Hela, thank you, and Hawkeye also, thank you, because the two of them are annoying and way OP. But I didn't really see anything for Storm. Maybe they did. I don't know. But I just was been having a good time just playing it in casual. I will jump into ranked when the new season starts. But I looked at some of the content for the new season. That the Fantastic Four stuff looks amazing. Invisible Woman, fantastic. Mr. Fantastic, fantastic. Like they the way they seem to be implementing them into the game seems great. And this is basically allow what we talked about when it comes to live service games, how they make sure they stay successful, is that you continue to deliver content that people are looking for, and to keep them engaged. And if they keep their foot on the gas like this, Overwatch is in big trouble. I mean, they're already in kind of big trouble right now, but they definitely in serious trouble. But yeah, I feel like there's something else I've been playing, but I feel like I'm missing. Oh yeah, I played a little bit more The Division Survival. So yeah, there's that. Been playing some Division Survival. It's been pretty cool. I've been playing I completed 100 extractions on the Xbox. So I'm not touching that one no more. There's no cross save or cross progression for The Division. So I'm doing this on PC. I want to hit 100 extractions again. Yeah. It's hard though, because no one plays the game. Not enough people play the game to get enough people in the lobby to get matches going. I probably would have been close to hitting that number by now if more people played the game, but it takes like forever to get a match going, unfortunately. So Other than that, that's all. That's all I've been doing, man.
What's up?
You ready to get into this, man?
I'm good, man. You know I'm good. You know I'm born good. Born good, and you know a lot of great topics, and let's just go.
Yeah, I feel like there wasn't a ton of topics, but because it's January.
Yeah.
But it's like it's a lot to kind of take in for the ones that we do have, and I got a lot to say, so buckle up.
Buckle up.
So rapid fire topics here. First topic down, I believe, is about Elden Ring. So we were talking about this was revealed at the Video Game Awards, and shout out to From Software for coming out with this mode. I'm happy for it because for me personally, I enjoy playing through like Elden Ring or like in the DLC, like a From Software game, beating it, and then I want to like mess around with friends. I want to, and it's always so convoluted, and I can't stand how they do it. And I've said this a million times, but this is from the ground up Elden Ring Nightreign, which is a kind of a standalone DLC, standalone title. So it's going to be eligible for Game of the Year next year.
Sure will be.
and it seems to be designed around co-op play off the rip. And they recently did an interview where they were discussing a lot of details about the game. So I'll just kind of go through some of that real quick, and then we can discuss. So Miyazaki, the paragon of From Software, was involved up into the conception point. So he's not like fully involved with this title as he was with previous titles. After that, it was in I'm about to butcher this name, but Ishizaki's hands.
I think you did it good. I think you did it good.
Thank you. Thank you. I tried. Ishizaki aims to distill the best parts of the game into 40-minute sessions. So I kind of translate that into you go into these, I guess, missions or modes or whatever, matches with other people, and it should take you about 40 minutes to complete or get bodied. However it goes.
Dungeons and stuff like that. Yeah, like
right.
standalone section. Yeah, I think that's actually a good thing if they're doing something like that, because it kind of changes up the gameplay and allows you to like experience parts of the game that you probably haven't experienced. Because when you have like separate instances like that, you could kind of break away from the main path of the game and kind of bring a element and area that isn't available on the main map. It could be something that's outside of that you can do in that type of gameplay stuff. So I actually like that part of it.
Yeah. Also, so you've played a From Software game before, right?
Yep.
Okay, so you know how like they have this messaging system, and sometimes it'd be like, hey, even though here's a cliff, jump off of the cliff. There's a little cliff below it. There's an item there you might want to get. Like there'll be a message like item below. And sometimes it's like people messing with you. There ain't no item below. And then there'll be like a message behind that says liar ahead. Stuff like that. There's messages, people, you're about to fight, what's her name? Millennia Blade of Milica, and the people are just like pain ahead because you about to die like 5 million times before you finally kill her. That messaging system will not be in this game, unfortunately. So they won't have that, but they will still have player ghosts, and the player ghosts will be like, if someone dies and you can kind of see a ghost of them dying, see what happened to them. And sometimes that can impart to you, hey, maybe I shouldn't go over there. Right. Or, hey, it looks like there's an enemy hiding behind this wall, which they like love to do all the freaking time. So there's stuff like that. It's a From Software game, so there's no easy mode. You earn currency called mark as you play the game. There's no mention of it. There will be any microtransactions for real money or anything like that. And marks can be used as you earn marks. You can use those to purchase relics, which will permanently boost your character. So that's kind of like a roguelite aspect there, where you kind of like earn things by playing, doing your runs in a roguelike game. And then you would take, a currency that you earn to then get permanent increases to your stats to kind of make your more future runs a bit easier. And you can use those to also purchase skins. So I can imagine some people might want to look like, Mikola or look like Radon or something like that. You can do that as well. So I think that's pretty dope. What are your thoughts on these details on Elden Ring, Nightreign?
Yeah. Like I said, I like the dungeon aspect. I mean, I'm just saying dungeon because they're saying instance like 40-minute sessions and stuff. I really like that. And bringing Izizaki and letting him probably be the person that's like the main point on it is something. I mean, a lot of other people probably would say like they're so used to Miyazaki being the one that's doing it, but I mean, I like change, and maybe Izanagi can bring something different and a different type of element to the game. So I always like when they experiment with stuff like that. That messages system is it. I look at that messages system just like when it's like when you were playing what's the name, and you had to wag your finger to like bring somebody into your game and stuff. It's like they come up with these weird ways.
Wave your finger in the air, wave it like you just don't care. And then if you wave it at the right time and your buddies at the right grace and they put their symbols down, they putting graffiti all over the ground, then you can bring them in. I imagine the system that they will have for this game will not be so convoluted. I think it will be a bit more streamlined, something a bit more traditional that you get from other games that have multiplayer.
Yeah, and the whole easy mode, I mean that should be normal by this point. People just know that, like the fact that they mentioned in a thing saying that FromSoft believes in their players. I'm like, listen, man, they are never gonna put.
They believe in your ability to get over it, and get it done, get good.
Yeah, that's what
they believe in.
They are literally that's what they telling people. They telling people without telling you. They're like, listen, we believe in you. If you can't do this, then maybe this game isn't for you. But if it is for you, you're going to persevere. I always tell customers when they come into the store and they say, what do you think about this Elden Ring? I'm like, do you like hard games? And it's like, yeah. I said, but do you like really hard games? They say, how hard? I said, well, have you ever played Dark Souls? He said, oh, it's one of those. I said, well, it's not as hard as Dark Souls, but it's still hard. And it's like, I tell people it's literally like an adrenaline rush when you finally compete and beat something that you can't beat for, like you've been struggling with. It's like a sense of enjoyment when it comes to that. So I think that's the biggest
sense of accomplishment.
Yeah, that people gain from these games by persevering the way that they do. So I just wish they just stopped even talking about a difficulty slider, because that's just not going to happen. And then the whole currency thing, every game's going in that direction.
About that in particular, if you think just because they got like this is multiplayer focused and you got nothing coming, if you think this is going to be easier because you can rely on other people to help you when because you trash, it's not happening, buddy. Like whenever I noticed this, whenever I had friends that were like, "Hey, can you join me in Elden Ring and to beat a particular boss I'm stuck on," and I would help them, and sometimes we would barely make it through. But I noticed that the bosses were a lot stronger than they were when that person was playing solo, and it was typically because the way From Software does it is that they look at the level of your character, whoever's level is the highest, and they just be like, all right, but we're gonna scale the boss for that person. It makes it much harder to get it done, and they nerf you when you come in and join. That I don't think that's going to happen in Nightreign. I think it's just this is a purely kind of like seems to be more of a co-op multiplayer experience where everyone's going to be at equal levels. But whenever a host brings in other people, like let's say you have like 10 flasks, you got 5 now.
You got 5, yeah.
You know, you have your I think I can't remember they nerf your damage too. I think you're just severely nerfed, so it's not like you're going to be able to rely on someone else to help get you through. Although there are plenty of people who do that and can help people get through, and that happens all the time. But it's just it ain't going to be a cakewalk for you. And if you die, then it's over. Like the people that you invited in can't continue to fight without you. So I think this would be very different than that. But there was a particular part of this trailer where it seemed as if there was one boss that split into 3 bosses. And I'm like, see, that's the kind of stuff that I can't wait to get into, because I remember playing Remnant from the Ashes, and I was playing it with Luca, and we was fighting this boss, and we remember everyone kept telling us this boss is hard. This boss has got people like quitting the game, and I'm like, all right, whatever. Me and Luca like whatever, yo. We ain't quitting nothing. You ain't gonna tell me when I'm quitting. Halfway through the fight, the boss cloned itself, and it was the boss on one side.
No, we out of here.
We be on this narrow bridge with the boss on one side, and then the clone boss on the other side. And I was just like, for a moment, I understood the people who quit. Because I just felt it like, how in the world are we gonna beat this? But it's just that you just gotta lock in, you know. You just gotta lock in, and we got it done. So yeah, you were saying something about the currency.
No, you're good. No, the last thing was the currency. I mean, this makes sense. It's only a matter of time until they were going to integrate something like this, because it is a single player game that they added a multiplayer function to. But it's still a single player with a co-op game at heart, and they need to find ways to monetize these games so they can like still bring revenue in on a year-to-year basis or month-to-month basis, due to the fact that, yeah, they're releasing new DLCs and stuff for this game, but you know, it's been a year in between, and that year in between, they're not making any money off that game except for people going out there actually buy the game or go out and buy the DLCs. This is a way for them to like bolster their overall, their overall financials when it comes to the game, month to month, week to week, and everything going forward. So I don't think anybody will be surprised. I think some people won't like it, but I don't think anybody should be surprised that this is finally being implemented into this game, because games like Assassin's Creed's been doing it for a while. So why not this game too? But no, that's it. That's all I got with it.
Cool. We can move on. So next topic was the Xbox app. So the Xbox app is coming to LG TVs now. So we were aware before that the Xbox app was it Samsung TVs?
Yeah, Samsung
right?
TVs.
Okay, so the Xbox app is on Samsung TVs. Now it's coming to it's now coming to the LG TVs. This was announced at CES for LG's press conference. We will talk more about CES in the later on in the podcast, because there's a lot to really kind of go through with a lot of new technology that directly affects gaming, and there's a lot to discuss in regards to what that means for gaming in the future, how that technology will be implemented. We can get into all that, but just real quick. So yeah, it will be available soon. It's not available on LG TVs yet, but Forte, what are your thoughts on that?
Man, can we get the Xbox app on the PC to work perfectly fine first? like we gotta, I know we got a what's they talking about, Steam OS, and it's starting to take over everything when it comes to that. Microsoft gonna mess around and miss out on the PC market too. Outside of being able to sell their games on the Steam platform, they gonna lose all of their ability to basically be able to like hunker down and get people to like want to play inside of their ecosystem and reap the rewards of having their own app and everything. So I mean, I get trying to make it so you got these have these entry points for people outside of PC and outside of console, but we kind of got to fix what the heck you already started with. And I think that's kind of part of the problem with a lot of these companies. It's like they all want to grow and get to this maximum potential, but don't they realize they would get probably faster to that maximum potential if they go to the things and work on the things that people already know they have? Because right now people refuse to buy games or play games on Xbox Game Pass on PC. For number one, due to the fact that they love their Steam library and they want everything to be under Steam when it comes to achievements and their friends list and everything. But then secondly, which is a really close second, is the fact that the Xbox app doesn't work on the PC consistently all the time. Just think about paying monthly for something and not being able to play and have the satisfaction of the gameplay that you would get on other platforms all the time. So I wish that they would like really, really do something about that. But being available in multiple places is what Xbox has been trying to work towards for a long time now, especially with Microsoft being more at the helm of what's happening with the gaming division. So I'm not surprised by this. It's going to roll out to more TVs in the future anyways. But I just wish that they worked on the things that they already have and bolstered that ecosystem before they start, moving on to other and better things in their eyes.
Yeah, I feel like they're very disjointed with this approach, and you can agree or disagree with what they're doing, and that's fine. Everyone is subject to their opinions with it, but I think we can all agree that execution it doesn't really have anything to do with how, like, whether they should or should not do something. And I think the execution of how they've been going about it with the initiative just hasn't been very good, especially when you kind of like you push a marketing campaign, but what you're saying in your marketing campaign doesn't actually like work at the moment. For example, like, this is an Xbox, everything's an Xbox, but you can't play your library. I know they're kind of working on that, but you can't play your library everywhere. You can only really play the library that you've already accumulated of Xbox games on an Xbox console. So it's just like, you can't say this is an Xbox when I don't get the same experience across the board on Xbox. And I know they're working on that. But like, until you have it to a point where it's all set, like, and everything is exactly as you intended to be, why did you go with this approach this soon? It's just like, it's like, for example, take Game Pass. So they have made it, they said, all right, so the games on Game Pass, the first party games are going to be day and date. With, that we come out with our day and date on Game Pass. If they said that in, like, say 2017, when they had 0 games coming out, it's like, why even mention this now? Because it's just like, it doesn't matter because you don't have any games anyway. So it's like, there's no purpose to that. And it's good that they got an OG app. I hope it actually works well. I hope it works better than the implementation of Fire Stick. I know there's some people who said, "Oh, I had no problems with Fire Stick." I know a lot of people that also said it was a dumpster fire. It was terrible. So you got to make sure all these experiences are quality experiences across the board. There's just no purpose in being somewhere if the experience isn't good. No one enjoys that. So And last for the, you were about to say something? Go ahead.
No, I said I agree with that.
Cool. Last for the rapid fire topics is Assassin's Creed Shadows. It's got a little delay here. So it was supposed to come out late last year. It got delayed to, I think, February. Yep. It's now had a further delay to March 20th of this year. So just a few weeks. But according to Ubisoft, they said the delay is so they can get a few additional weeks to implement feedback they were given. And to ensure a more ambitious and engaging day one experience. So I take that last part to mean polished. Right. Like to make sure it's not a buggy mess the way Star Wars Outlaws released. Like they want to make sure it's a policy, especially for Assassin's Creed game, this is one of their more popular IP. So a lot of people are interested in this title, whether people want to, admit that or not, depending on their whole, what kind of grift they got going on. But in regards to grift, that first part there where they said they needed more time to implement feedback they were given. I wonder what feedback they are talking about implementing. I know there is supposed to be and we kind of discussed this last week, I think, a canon mode where like there's a canon storyline where, it's not about any choices that you may choose. This is like a canon story for it. And there's been some debate about whether that was a good idea or not, but I wonder what other feedback they're talking about being implemented. I mean, we're now 2 months away from it coming out. I think they need to kind of start to reveal whatever these changes are so that people can decide how they feel about that. Regardless, this is actually an Assassin's Creed game I'm actually interested in. I'm not really interested in Assassin's Creed for the most part, but I'm gonna pick this one up. You're excited? Yeah, I like samurais. I like the whole setting. I like Yasuke. Maybe I just want to support the brother. But no, I mean, I actually probably will play more with the girl who I've seen some like parkour like demonstrations of gameplay of her like moving around on rooftops. I thought it looked dope, and this. I'm usually not into Assassin's Creed, but I've played a few. This one, I'm gonna give it a shot. What about you?
No, I'm with you. I've never really been into Assassin's Creed, but I do like the setting of this one. Kind of brings me more interested into that aspect of it. But the delay, listen, we all knew that delays were going to happen for a lot of games. Because we're still back in the remnants of everything being, kind of delayed from the COVID experience and everything. I don't know if this game is being impacted by that, but I do know that is something that is still hindering and the reason why we're not getting as many games as we were getting over the course of year to year and stuff like that. But I do think that this is a good thing for this game. I just want it to be something that, first of all, I just want an Assassin's Creed game that's good. The fact that they don't have it puking all over the map with all these different data points and stuff for your points.
Yeah, they can keep that. That just really like turns me off and makes me not want to play the game.
Right. So that's kind of the one thing that always burns me about those games. But outside of that, I'm good with the overall offering that they're going to have when it comes to the game. It just mostly comes down to like, is it going to be palatable? Like, I want to say like how they did, like Ubisoft knows how to do it, because like I always go back to that game Immortal Phoenix Rising. I felt like that was the best implementation of side quests, points of interest, and just overall gameplay, where it was still like a 30 to 40 hour game, but it was an enjoyable 30 to 40 because all the different zones and biomes that they used in the game really made it interesting. And I do think with the fact that this is based in Japan, there's a really good palette of just different environments they can use when it comes to this game. So I'm excited to give it a try. It's the first Assassin's Creed that I've actually been interested in actually playing ever for the most part. So let's see exactly what's going to happen with that when this game comes out.
Yeah, so I think, however you feel about, the Assassin's Creed, whether you're a fan of it or whether you're someone who's only interested in it due to the controversy or whatever. I think whatever happens in the next couple of months is going to be pretty interesting to see. I hope the game does well, because it seems as if and I did see some things, and I actually got some of that confirmed behind the scenes by some people, that a lot of the developers they had working on this game are like very much newer developers. Like they seem to kind of, and they may have made that decision. It's the Guillermo family, so you know how they are. They may have made that decision based upon financials. Younger devs with less experience cost less than veterans. So there, I know some people have already taken that as a determination that the game isn't going to be at the same level of quality as the previous titles. But I don't think people should just pass judgment on that without actually playing the game. I think it looks fantastic. I think I don't know what game engine is running. I don't think it's running the Snowdrop engine that Massive Entertainment has created. I don't think they have ever used those for Assassin's Creed, but I think it looks amazing visually, and it's really just gotta nail the kind of gameplay that people are looking for, and I think it'll be all right. So see what happens. Anyway, let's get into these proper topics here. Right. Are you ready for that?
Yeah, I'm ready.
So Sony says I had to do this because
you had to be messy.
Man, it's not being messy. It's just really just kind of countering a few narratives, right? So Sony says there's no major risk of their PlayStation players choosing PC over PlayStation 5. Speaking during a shareholder Q&A that was held early last month. So this isn't really like new news, but it became a talking point recently in social media, in the gaming social media circles. But they said in that Q&A session they were asked about that specifically, a question of do they think that PlayStation players would migrate over to PC with them putting their games on PC. And their response was, in terms of losing users to PCs, we have neither confirmed that any such trend is underway, nor do we see it as a major risk so far. Now, so my question to you, Forte, is does Sony not see the risk because they don't do day and date on PC for single player games currently? Or do they understand that the PC market is simply that different of a market and demographic of gamers from the console market?
No, I think it's the latter. I do think for the most part, most console gamers aren't going to play on PC. It's, and if they do it, it's by the time, it's like once they get older and stuff, like once they get up to the age of like 30, 35 or something like that, once, they get to the point where they kind of just understand the PC marketplace and stuff. And most of the younger guys understand it now, but they just prefer the console. Over the course of time, you just, kind of, find yourself more and more going over to PC. And the reason I think that PlayStation doesn't feel like they need to really worry about it is basically the same thing why people don't worry about Nintendo. It's like because it's a natural progression to the PlayStation platform, especially now that, basically Microsoft then bowed out. They kind of just took, ways of thinking about it, they kind of took that option away by basically telling people they don't need it and that they can play their games in other places. Xbox is actively telling people more that, when it comes to like PC, that's where you can, play your games and play in other places other than Xbox, where PlayStation still sees the PlayStation as a viable ecosystem for people to come into. So that's going to be like the natural upgrade from somebody like coming from like a tablet or something and wants to play more powerful, popular games and stuff on a platform. They look at themselves as like, well, we're like the next evolution in that step now. There really is no conversation about anybody else because the competition basically took themselves out of it. Now, is that a dangerous way of looking at it? I think it is, but I don't think that when they make a statement like this, they're making a statement like this knowing one thing, but they're also working on something on the back end, because I do think at a certain point there is going to be a reason for people to just not have a console and just have a PC, especially if PlayStation ever goes day and date with their games and stuff over there, because we already see it now. A lot of the, hardcore, PlayStation guys, they wave the flag of PC right now. Even knowing those games ain't all, they're on day and day. It's the fact that they just come that people actually like that. So I do think they need to be a little careful about that if they want to keep just that mind share of PlayStation is the best way to play PlayStation games. But I do think that they understand that there is a domino effect when you're talking about younger people coming from not consoles, but from phones, tablets, from Nintendo Switches or anything Nintendo has coming out. And they're almost like the de facto next thing in line, where some people still look at the PC platform as something that you mature into.
Yeah. Shout out to Sam Walton in the chat. He just said something that really kind of echoes what I was about to say. Sam Walton says, as long as there is a console, I will be there gaming on a console, because Sam is a console gamer. And that's something that is always going to be what it is. There are people who they don't care for the PC experience. You may, play the same game at triple digit frame rates. You may play it with, more clarity, but, higher resolutions, higher graphical settings, but, they don't really need all that. They just want the simplicity of just buying the game, starting it up on their console, and getting good enough frame rates, good enough visuals. It doesn't need to be top of the line, and that's not really their focus. And there are people who seem to not quite understand that console gamers are also a different demographic. Sure, you'll get across the board where there are games where everyone plays, like Call of Duty, Fortnite, Minecraft. The live service, really popular titles that everyone gets into, whether they're on PC or console. But there are also games that just PC gamers are just interested in, that console gamers are not. A lot of those games are like your Age of Empires, your League of Legends kind of titles, and some of them may cross over to consoles and be somewhat popular there, but they're never as popular as they are on PC, like an XCOM kind of game. But I don't think that largely the majority of the PC gamers care for the kind of first party single player experiences that Sony provides. I think the majority of them, they think some of them will jump into them, but they're not too hyped to play them as you would see, say, an actual PlayStation console gamer. And with that said, I do agree with you. I think it's the latter. I don't think Sony is not concerned with their PlayStation gamers going to PlayStation because they stagger their releases and they don't do day and date. I think there are people who would transition if it was day and date, and they've said so. But I don't think that's the majority of PlayStation gamers. I think the majority really don't care if they're on PC. And I think the vast majority of PlayStation gamers probably don't even know that these games go to PC, like the casual PlayStation gamer. They don't care that they go to PC. They're not building one. They're not spending over $1,000 on a PC. And so the price of a PS5 Pro really doesn't really affect them, their decisions. Because it's like, well, that's still cheaper than a PC. So what, all that said, I believe this is why, and I've said this before, I'll say it again, I'll keep saying it. When they launch that PlayStation 6, they will be letting people know that all their games will be day and date on PC. I say that not because they have been slowly walking you to this reality, like they're afraid of the hardcore gamer or anything. I say this because I think that, one, they did not have the kind of development pipeline when they started this generation that would allow them to do that effectively and actually have good these games release well on PC. I think if they would have tried to do this generation, they would have ended up with worse performing games as far as the actual performance of those games on PlayStation, due to dividing up resources and really, really bad PlayStation their games ported to PC. As probably The Last of Us Part 1 would be a great example of that, where they didn't quite really understand what they needed to do there, and it was very problematic and bad for the release and their reputation on PC overall. What they're doing right now with Nixus is the best bet for them, and Jetpack Interactive, where if it's a live service kind of game, a lot of those developers are already familiar with working on PC, and then you also want to prioritize getting it out on PC as well, so you can have a bigger player base for those titles. So yeah, you're going to have that be day and date. But the single player games, their tools, their game development kits, their APIs, all that stuff isn't suited for PC. And they have to create those tools in order to make them work in a similar fashion on PC as they do on PlayStation. That takes time. Having developers in-house that are familiar with that stuff already and can be dedicated to that takes time. It is a better process to build that up over time, as we see Naughty Dog doing, with you know their staffing, than to just try to force that right off the rip. So I think by the time the PlayStation 6 comes out, they will be ready to kind of make that kind of jump, because a lot of the developers would then be already familiar and they've been built up the tools behind the scenes to make that happen. But we'll see. You know, some years off, but when it happens, you will definitely see me letting y'all know I was right.
Stumble was right. You know,
anything else you want to say on this before we move on, man?
I'm good.
All right. That is done. And yeah, so since we're talking about next generation, there's a new rumor that there will be an Xbox Prime console coming. And this one was this rumor is coming from actual Call of Duty leaker named the Ghost of Hope. I've never heard of this guy, but apparently he has sources within Activision and Call of Duty dev teams, and he's been accurate on leaks of Call of Duty in the past. But he claims that he's heard that the next Xbox console is still coming in 2026 and will be called Xbox Prime. I think that name sucks, but okay. Hopefully, you know, that could change. Maybe that's just a working title as it is, right? But my thoughts about my question to you, Forte, about this is, with the way Xbox has been trending with hardware sales, where they've been double-digit declines over the past 2 years, and year-over-year, negative year-over-year growth, and with more of their exclusive games making their way over to their competitors' consoles with Nintendo and Sony, what do you expect this new Xbox to be?
You got to go back to what Sarah Bond said about the their next console being more of a technological leap over what they've done before. And that could be in anything. That could be in handheld form. It could be anything. And this is saying 2026. So, excuse me, Xbox didn't do a mid-gen refresh this generation. I don't think that this is going to be anything close to that. I do think it's either, the biggest thing is, do you feel like this is the handheld? Because I do think that is a good chance, because a lot of people thought the handheld was already in the works. And the handheld, people were disappointed when they found out that the handheld was a couple of years away. And at the point of hearing that,
Forte,
that was the middle of 2024. 2026.
It just hit me.
Go ahead.
It just hit me.
What is it?
What if it's called Xbox Prime? Because they're going to license out Xbox OS and start calling third-party devices Xboxes. But if you want the Prime Xbox that comes directly from them, it's going to be a non-subsidized, expensive console hybrid that is docked. It's powerful, but when it's handheld, it's less powerful, so that it can, has the a low enough TDP in order to give it like a lasting like battery life. What if that's why it's called Xbox Prime? Because it's the main Xbox, whereas the other ones will just be like, like it's an Xbox, but it's more like it's a Logitech device or a Lenovo device that is Xbox branded. Using the Xbox OS, which is like a streamlined version of Windows that just runs Xbox. What if that's why it's called Prime? What do you think about that?
No, I mean, that is another way to kind of look at it, because I do think that in general, I think this has something to do with a handheld. Maybe something that can integrate with a console later on down the line, which makes sense if you're talking about how the whole Prime ecosystem could work and stuff. Whereas, we're gonna, Xbox OS versus on other platforms. And then when you're on the Xbox, the actual console, they just name it the Primes. It's weird how they would do it and stuff. Like you said, I don't too much care for the name, but in theory, I kind of like the direction you're thinking when it comes to like the overall way they could roll it out. I do think that this console or this piece of hardware that they're talking about right now is the handheld, because like I said earlier, 2024, middle of it, everybody was like, looking forward to like, all the rumors of what this handheld could be. And then Microsoft said that, was a few years out. And a few years out from there, a few years out will be 2026 to 2027. So I do think that could be what this is first. But I do think they're still working on a console for people that's going to probably be 2027, 2028. But I do like
a traditional console that
I think the traditional console will still come. Because why? Because I feel like at a point it's like you just become the boutique of like higher end hardware and stuff for people if that's what they want, because that's kind of where Sony is living at right now. They're living in that Apple ecosystem where they can put something out because they know people will want it because of the name. If Microsoft really wants to continue to keep making consoles, then they need to go above and beyond when it comes to like what people expect out of a console. And that doesn't mean that they need to make a lot of them. They just need to like have it there for people to have
they do a little just in time kind of manufacturing where they only really like they make enough that they need, and then they fulfill orders as needed, but they're not making a ton of them because the demand of them isn't very high.
Isn't going to be very high. They may only make like 8,000 to 9,000 of them. I mean, not 9,000, million of them, or 10 million at the most. That would kind of be something.
Well,
that
I can see them doing that with, like, let's say this Xbox Prime thing is real, and let's just take my theory as let's say that's the case.
Yeah,
Xbox Prime is them still providing hardware, even though they really kind of fully expect the majority of the sales of it to come from an Xbox OS built into a Asus ROG Ally 2 or something like that. Like, essentially the way they deal Windows, because Windows, like, you get Windows, if you go buy a laptop right now, the laptop could be made by HP, right? But it comes with Windows, which is what they create. So they get money off of that because you bought Windows with, built in to this, already pre-installed to this laptop. It wouldn't surprise me if they decide to start just using Xbox in that capacity, where they're transitioning. They're already changing what it means to be an Xbox, and they're going to be the diehard, Old school guys is just like, yeah, I know where the Xbox is. It's this black brick over here on my entertainment center. That's an Xbox. But as far as they're concerned, that's not an Xbox anymore. Sorry. An Xbox is an app on your TV, or an app on your Fire Stick, or an app on your phone, or an app on your PC, or now an OS that gets, added to your handheld. That's their idea of an Xbox. And, of course, they can go decide and choose to call whatever they want to call things, and people can agree to it or not. But that's the reality of it. And I kind of wonder if, this Prime thing, they don't expect it. Like, you could, there's no way you can expect it to be a major seller with the way you've been trending on hardware. And I think they're kind of giving up on hardware ever being a major seller. What are your thoughts on that?
I do agree. I do think that hardware being something that pushes them forward is a thing of the past. But I do think they still need some type of hardware out there in the home console space that allows them to still have an identity. It's like, because most people are, the majority of people that play video games, when it comes to that, like the younger base, is mostly on console still. PC is right after that, then mobile phones and stuff, which is what they're really trying to go after. But I just consider, and maybe it's the way that I consider it, and maybe it's full-hearted on their end, because I feel like when it comes to gamers, the console base is where you want to start at and grow from, and then you want to like kind of extend yourself from that, pretty much like the direction that Sony's going in now. But it doesn't change the fact that they still need to have some type of offering for people to be able to interact with that ecosystem in some way, somehow, and then they just branch out from there. So I do think that there is still going to be a console, at least one more. I just don't see the Xbox Series X being the last console that they release when it comes to like a home console. Now, if they actually go full blown and make it this beast of a system that they need to make it, that's to be seen, because I don't know if they see the benefit in that, especially when even this holiday they sold a lot of Series S's, and that system is it's okay, it can hold its own, but it's not.
But they also got outsold 5-1 this past holiday.
Yeah, but them being outsold 5-1, I think has more to do with the narrative around Xbox not telling people why they should have an Xbox versus the systems itself not being good.
Yeah, but I mean, like, I don't think they're going to ever get better with that messaging.
No, I don't think they are either. But the whole thing is, I just don't think that they're going to walk away from the home console just yet. I think they got at least one more in them before they decide to like completely shut that down.
they Vince Carter. I got one more.
I got one more
in me.
My knees got one more, man. I can't jump over 7'6" people anymore, but I got one more in me.
Got one more in me.
But we'll see. I mean, but I do think the handheld is what they're eyeing right now, and then we'll see. And maybe that's what it's going to be. Maybe the handheld will kind of give them an inkling into like what people crave when it comes to like just new hardware in general. Even though a handheld is completely different.
Man, I think it could definitely be a hybrid. Where it has a fancy dock, and that dock. I've kind of heard some things that may counter that, but I think that still might be on the table.
Well, they can expand like how the ROG does when it comes to like buying that dock for the ROG Ally, and then being able to hook it up to your TV. So there's different ways that they could go about and make this happen. But it all comes down to just making a piece of tech that is really good that people want. And if they could do it in a handheld form and keep the name Xbox in people's mind in a handheld form, then maybe they will go away from a console. But I do think this handheld, whatever they're going to be doing with it, is their next step, and probably going to be the one that's going to basically usher in what they're going to do when it comes to consoles in the future.
Yeah. We'll see what happens. Of course, this could be complete bunk, but it is kind of coming from someone who has been right on a few things before, just not necessarily in regards to this stuff. But we do have to recognize that Activision is now owned by Microsoft. So if someone who is known to have accurate leaks on the particular game that Activision has, now they're now owned by Microsoft, he's now saying what they're working on, like that. You know, you gotta kind of take it. Of course, we take these things with a grain of salt, but then when someone who has gotten some things right in the past starts speaking on it, then you kind of gotta, you know, take it as it is. But let's move on. Developer Direct, still kind of talking about Microsoft here. They made an announcement today that the Developer Direct is coming January 23rd. And this will be the third year they've been doing a Developer Direct. Shout out to them for having a consistent show that they do every year. They got 2 consistent shows they do every year. There's this, and then in June there is the Xbox Showcase. And shout out to them for actually providing showcases, unlike some other companies who act like they don't know what that means anymore. And you know who that is. So anyway, this Developer Direct is going to feature Doom: The Dark Ages, South of Midnight, Claire Obscure Exhibition 33, and according to Aaron Greenberg, a surprise unannounced game. So I got 2 questions for you, Forte, so we can get into this. First question is, what game out of the list that was mentioned are you looking forward to the most? Forte, did I lose you?
Oh, I was muted. I didn't. Actually, Expedition 33, I was not expecting to even hear or see anything from this game this early. Like when I saw that on the list, I was like, oh, really? Okay, that's interesting. So I'm definitely looking forward to seeing more about that game. That will be at the top of the list. But we're all interested in what this unannounced game from this studio that we don't know.
Hold on that, because that's my next question. Yeah, but hold on that. That is Exhibition 33 is my most anticipated game. One of my most anticipated games of this year. Okay. And out of the list of games they mentioned, it's the game I'm more interested in seeing more about. Right. It looks great. It looks great. Everything I've seen from it seems very very good. I like my turn-based RPGs. I like the differences they've made in the game design. The differences between this kind of turn-based RPG compared to others is definitely unique in that aspect, and I like that. And visually, it looks fantastic. Right. I think. When I first saw some gameplay of it, I thought like they still needed to work on animations. I thought the animations were a bit stiff, but that's an unreleased game. There's way more time to fix that, and I think the voice acting that they got for this they definitely went and got some of the very best voice actors out there to work on this. You talking about Ben Starr, who played Clive in Final Fantasy 16. They got Andy Serkis, Charlie Cox, who's Daredevil in the MCU. Like, they definitely was in their bag when they decided to cast these people for it. So I'm looking forward to just seeing like awesome performances with an awesome story, hopefully, as it comes out. But just to be a little different, because you already picked Exhibition 33, I'm gonna say South of Midnight. Okay. Compulsion has been dropping like little like snippets of gameplay showing combat with the main character that looks really good. I like the different art direction. I love seeing different art directions that are unique in games, because typically those art directions end up becoming good, and they don't age as poorly as some other traditional styles of art that we see, or games that try to go for like a photorealistic look. Mm-hmm. And then over time you realize that wasn't all that photorealistic, as you see other games do that better over time. And I think what Compulsion is doing visually is good. Well, I like what I saw with the combat. It gives me a lot of Kana Virtual Spirits vibe. So I'm looking forward to seeing what they have to say about South of Midnight. And hopefully this time with this developer direct, unlike previous ones, we get a little bit more release dates, because typically with these, they do a lot of details and they get into a lot of the weeds with developers, but they don't really give us release dates like that. You may get 1 or 2 release dates, but not the majority. So hopefully that's a big difference this time. Second question, what do you think this surprise game is?
They have so many studios. It's like, wow. I was really trying to figure out what this surprise game could be. I haven't I couldn't tell you. I have no idea. What do you think? I literally was thinking about this all day, and I'm like, there is way too many studios, and most of these studios are working on something unless they have another studio that's working on multiple games, which definitely could be the case. And they said it's an unannounced game, so it could be something. Yeah. It could just be a studio. Like I said, I think it's a studio just working on something that they just happen to have another part of the studio doing, like id Software or something like that could be working on something outside of the Doom game. Or it could be finally announcing what 343 is making with the next Halo game, because that's still unannounced or anything like that. But when it comes to like trying to pinpoint it exactly, I mean, even Playground could be working on another game. They already had Forza come out. Could they be working on the next like Horizon game? Who knows at this point? It could be anything.
So I in me trying to figure out what this surprise game is, I try to look at like the history of what they've done with the dev directs versus what they've done with their Xbox showcases in June. And then also like what we've seen. So like when they've had surprise games before. Right. They had a surprise game last year. I can't quite remember what it was, but I think that surprise games aren't really their first party. They may be at the most a Xbox published game that's a second party title, or a third party title from where they got the marketing for a particular game. And I think last year they had Metaphor ReFantazio, maybe that was it. Right. But they've also like they had Visions of Mana in these dev directs, and that was also in Game Pass, came out last summer. So I think whatever this game is, I think more than likely it is a third party game that they have the marketing for. Maybe a Sega game, since Sega seems to really enjoy showing off their games and getting the marketing for their titles with like Atlas. And I don't think they've done too much with the Like a Dragon games, those games, but I think Atlas and seems to have taken a liking to getting Xbox marketing in that manner. So maybe that's the case. They drop a lot. They've been making a lot of games. I'm kind of a little sick of the Persona 5 like side content kind of games. I've been wanting for Persona 6. I think Persona 6 might be too big for this kind of thing, and I think they might save that for like a showcase. But for Xbox in particular, they did do Hi-Fi Rush as a shadow drop. I don't think we're getting a shadow drop here, but I don't think they would do that again. If I had to really back to the wall, I remember there being a rumor that IO Interactive, who makes Hitman, was working on like a fantasy dragon game for Xbox. After hearing that rumor, I don't even know if it's still even in development. But if this is going to be something that is something that they are publishing, then I can see it being that. You know, finally, because this is supposed to be an unannounced game. So this isn't something that, like, say, like Contraband, they already announced that. It's not, you know, State of Decay 3 been announced, you know, and had multiple trailers. it's not something that we've seen already. So when I go through the list of things that I think of that I know are in development that they haven't shown yet, that's the only one I can really think of. The only one that kind of comes to mind. And it could be a remaster, as you guys are saying in the chat, like Oblivion remaster. I think a lot of people would enjoy that, an Oblivion remaster, and that's something that you can outsource that to a studio, get it done, and have it come out this year, and not really kind of count as one of your main official releases because it's a remaster, you know. So that's definitely there's a chance for that. But outside of that, anything else you're looking forward to when it comes to this direct?
I am looking forward to Midnight. Definitely, that's one of the games I've been looking forward to for quite some time now. Outside of Midnight Sun, I just want to Expedition 33 is like the main thing. So I just kind of don't want to. At this point, there's so many things they could talk about. And I know id is going to be talking about their game and stuff there. So I'm just looking forward to that at this point.
Oh, okay. We got some other suggestions in the chat. Killer Instinct.
Oh yeah, Killer Instinct.
You know, like that. I wouldn't be surprised about that. We heard some talk about them, like, you know, doing something with Killer Instinct soon. So that could be it. Skies of Arcadia remake. Some good suggestions here. I don't know about Skies of Arcadia, but Killer Instinct wouldn't surprise me at all if there was like a, you know, we're bringing Killer Instinct back. You know, here's Killer Instinct 2 or something coming soon. But typically also with the developer direct, these are games that are intended to come out this year in 2025. They don't always make it, clearly, because, you know, Avowed was in developer direct last year and didn't make it this year, which is part of the reason why they don't have it in this year's developer direct, even though it comes out next month, is that it was already in it last year. But, you know, everything that does come in the developer direct is intended to be a 2025 release. And if they're working on a Killer Instinct game, I can't see them announcing the game and then launching it in the same year. I know Bethesda tends to do that with like Elder Scrolls and Fallout and stuff, but I don't think many of their other studios do the same thing. But we'll have to see. Got some time, you know.
We definitely got that.
So let's get into this final topic, because I might have to go in a bit on this final topic, because it's an interesting one. So we had CES this week. It started on Monday. And CES is like the Super Bowl for tech companies. It's where everyone gets to show off what their new products are going to be this year, the new advancements in technology that they're working on. And you literally see everybody there. You see Sony there showing off TVs and all kinds of prototype like electric vehicles and stuff. You see all the TV manufacturers showing off their new TVs and the new technology they're implementing in them. And you see typically when it comes to tech and gaming, you see, you know, AMD showing off new hardware, new advancements, as well as Nvidia. And those are the ones that we're really going to focus on the most. We also see now that since the PC handhelds are becoming more prevalent, and there is more talk about Steam OS and Xbox OS, the Xbox is getting more involved in that kind of arena as well. So they had Jason Ronald, who's now like the head of what is this title now? Next Generation. He was there with I think Lenovo. Wait, I may be getting that confused. I think he was there with Lenovo discussing the Windows version of their streamlined or streamlined version of the Lenovo Legion. I think it's now called the Lenovo Legion S, and there's also a Steam OS version of it as well. So that's a really kind of in the future going to be seems like a big deal. But when it comes to the handheld wars, where Valve backing Steam OS is really now officially putting their OS on devices and allowing their OS to be put on more devices than just the Steam Deck. And I would say seem to be having a better time of doing that and implementing that than Microsoft has been so far with an Xbox OS or a streamlined version of Windows. But let's get into some of the real big highlights here. So AMD was there, and AMD has confirmed that FSR, their upscaler, FSR 4, will only be available on Radeon RX 9070 series GPUs and in games that already support FSR 3.1. So, for example, Cyberpunk does not have FSR 3.1. Cyberpunk has FSR 3.0. So, therefore, Cyberpunk would not have FSR 4 if it never gets upgraded to 3.1. And also, strangely enough, they did a media briefing behind the scenes and showed off a lot of stuff about, their GPUs, what they're working on, RDNA 4, so on and so forth, but declined to really get into the weeds or announce their new GPUs at their own press conference, which was a bit weird. Forte, what are your thoughts on that?
Which part you say? You said what, the press conference at the end?
Yeah. They didn't show off any of their GPUs or RDNA 4 at their press conference, but they just did a little private, briefing with more popular content creators, Gamer Nexus, Hardware Unboxed,
and stuff. Yeah, because
Bitwit and all them.
I watched some of their videos, and they said they thought it was weird too, because they thought they were basically waiting for Nvidia to do their announcement before they actually told everybody else the specs and stuff, because all the YouTubers and stuff have already been filled in on all of the features, the specs, all the stats and stuff, but they can't talk about it because they're under NDA until AMD comes out and does it. And then
but here's the also wild thing. You got the partners, the AIB partners who are making these 9070 XTs and stuff, who were there with their 9070 XTs, and they're showing off, stuff. I saw a benchmark of Black Ops 6 running on the 9070 XT at 4K with no upscaling, no frame generation, and averaging in the benchmarking to averaging 99 frames per second. I saw a video with, was it either Daniel Owen or Hardware Unboxed, where they were talking about how there's at the AMD booth, there's two PCs with side-by-side comparisons running Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart, and one's running with FSR 3.1 and the other one's running with a quote-unquote AMD research project, which everyone knows is FSR 4. It's why are you being vague about it? You already announced that it's real. It's just weird to me that AMD is behaving in this manner when it's you have this is CES. Why are you being cagey about this?
Right.
They also haven't announced prices at all, which nope. I figured would be the case, because AMD traditionally has waited for Nvidia to do their prices for their new GPUs, and then they go, okay, so where is that 5080 at?
Mm-hmm.
Where's that 5070 at? All right, we'll just go $100 cheaper, which is I think that's never, me personally, I feel for AMD, that's never a good look. Because I don't think they do enough to entice PC gamers away from Nvidia, as far as making your product so different that they say, oh, okay, I need this because there's a feature that this has that I don't get with Nvidia. Instead, you get a lot of watered down versions of what Nvidia did last generation. Oh, now it's on par with what Nvidia's did last generation, but Nvidia's on to new and better things. And so when people kind of look at that and you're just like, all right, well, you know, yeah, sure, you're $100 cheaper and performance wise, you're on par with what that product is, but that product's doing something you don't have again. And so I think I'll go a little different than most people feel about this, but them choosing not to do another high-end GPU is smart on their part, so that they can kind of like really get in their bag and make something that is different and can really bring a unique feature to the market that Nvidia doesn't have. But that takes time. And it takes time with their engineers to kind of come up with something that is truly unique, and them not just trying to copy whatever Nvidia innovated with yet again. And I'm fine with that, as long as when UDNA, which is they already admitted is their next thing after RDNA 4, when UDNA comes out, it actually truly is unique and not just doing the same old. Anything more you want to say about this before we kind of move on to the next thing?
No, you nailed a bunch of it. I just think it's really weird, like you said, that we still haven't, like the fact that they got the GPUs and everything on display at CES and they're just not talking about the specs on it just does not bode well for that, for those cards right now.
Yeah. So now this is where I give Nvidia the smoke, because I saw a lot of people glazing Nvidia. And I'm like, I said all this already, and you know, and I don't want to be that guy. Actually, I do want to be that guy says I told you so. I'm gonna be that guy. I've been telling y'all for the past 3 or 4 months Nvidia was going to do this. I told y'all they were going. I literally on this show said that the 5090 would be a $2,000 GPU. Did I not? I said it would be $2,000. I told people this. People are still shocked somehow. I told y'all Nvidia is going to show up with cards that are barely more powerful than what the 4000 series does. But the one thing they will do is they're going to make some new thing that no one has yet be exclusive to that card. And that's going to be their selling point. And what is that thing? Multi-frame generation, neural rendering. I've talked about neural rendering on this show before. That's what they've been working on for years. Neural rendering, where instead of doing traditional rendering of games through traditional paths that developers have been doing for years, they're working towards getting to the point where developers will be rendering the entire game through AI. That's what they've been working on, and people are, look, I know no one listens to me. Fine. Don't listen to me.
Don't listen to me.
But when I tell you I'm right, you have nothing to say. So Nvidia basically just did everything I said they would. You know, they have announced these RTX 5000 series GPUs with an exclusive feature that wouldn't be available on their older GPUs at this time. Because that can change, because you know that definitely changed last generation.
It did.
You know, the ray reconstruction showed up on the 3000 series. It showed up, you know, beyond that as well. It shows up on the 2000 series as well. And DLSS 3 itself was exclusive to the 4000 series GPUs, and then 6 months later, with DLSS 3.5 showed up on the 3000 series cards as well. So like, you know, and they said before DLSS 3 couldn't work on the older RTX cards due to the hardware, but it did. So when I see that, and then you say, well, multi-frame generation can't work on the 4000 series cards due to the hardware, I'm calling cat, because you did this before. And so, with all that said, I'm gonna get into what I'm really kind of not really upset with Nvidia about, but I it needs to be called out what they're doing. Nvidia. Oh, actually, before I get into that, because my issue with them is the pricing. I'll break down literally everything that they're showing here. So let me make sure I got the right graphics here. Okay, here we go. So this is the NVIDIA DLSS 4 features. And so as you can see how only the 50 series has multi-frame generation as of right now. Unlike last time, DLSS 4 is being given to all the other RTX cards, just to varying degrees. So as you see, if you have a RTX 30 series or a 20 series, you're getting improvements to ray reconstruction, improvements to the upscaling, super resolution, and you're getting improvements to DLAA, which is their anti-aliasing solution, deep learning anti-aliasing. It's literally the best anti-aliasing solution that's out there, but it's very heavy. It is very hard on hardware, and it's good that they're providing improvements to it, even though in their improvements they only say improved stability and higher detail and motion. What they need to be saying is playable frame rates, because as of right now it ain't playable. So well, it's playable if you got 4090 or 4080. Mm-hmm. It's not playable on anything else.
Right.
So that's the breakdown of it. If you have a 40 series card, I would say there's no reason for you to upgrade.
Nope.
You're getting improvements from just DLSS 4 in general. When that launches later this month or early February, all your games are going to be improved. And additionally, due to that, because they're adding a new feature to the NVIDIA app. If you don't have that installed, you might want to have that installed and then just disable the I forgot what it's called. There's something that kind of affects frame rates in there, but you can just disable that and you're good to go. It is the photo mode. Disable photo mode and you're good. You're fine. But that NVIDIA app is going to get a new feature called RTX Override. What that does is it makes sure that whenever you update your drivers and for your games that have DLSS in them as an option, it upgrades that version of DLSS to the most up-to-date version of it, instead of relying on whatever version that the developer implemented when they launched the game or did their latest update. So if the game is running on DLSS 3.0, but now they're on DLSS 4.2, RTX Override is going to upgrade that game to DLSS 4.2 for you, so you get all those enhancements without the developer having to do anything. This can actually be done by gamers on their own using NVIDIA Profile Inspector and just downloading the actual latest version of DLSS, and you could do it yourself manually, but most people don't want to do that. I know I don't. And that most people don't do that in general. This does it automatically, so more people will get the benefit of that. And that's good. That's fine. And so these enhancements will be great for a lot of people. That said, let me just show something here. Let me show one of these. This chart here was shown during their press conference, and they got other stuff that they showed on their website that I'm gonna get into as well. So this chart says 4K 240 hertz gaming with RTX 5090 and DLSS 4. Y'all can't read the fine print that's down there.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna read it for you. I'm gonna help you out. I'm gonna read this fine print for you. This fine print says GeForce RTX 5090, 4K resolution, path tracing where applicable, or ray tracing max, using AMD's Ryzen 7 9800X 3D, the most powerful CPU in the world. And then it says it's giving you 64 gigs of DDR5 RAM. And is using DLSS 4 multi-frame generation, is using super resolution in performance mode, which means performance mode means is a ton of artifacting all over the place. It's using the lowest target resolution possible. Lowest starting resolution possible, and then going up to 4K. So that's not the preferred way that people want to play it. So take that into account with ray reconstruction. And then for for DLSS 3 that's in there, it's using frame gen and super resolution in performance mode as well. You see the numbers here, right? And even though it seems in a way where they didn't give you exact numbers, but they gave you kind of like, hey, you can figure it out. We got our frame rate, I believe that's on the left side there. And you're seeing with DLSS off what it's doing with none of that stuff. Look how low Alan Wake 2 is. Look how low Black Myth Wukong is. Look how low Cyberpunk is. And then you see it with the dark green with frame generation with frame generation in DLSS 3, and then you see it with multi-frame generation and in DLSS 4. And it's all of the enhancements are literally coming from AI machine learned upscaling.
Mm-hmm.
That's not. They do this on purpose because they know people are going to look at the differences in between the different bars and go, "Oh wow, it's all those enhancements." But then you have to look into the details to see what it really means, and there's just really a lot of smoke and mirrors. They did breakdowns. They said they said that the 5070 is providing performance on par with a RTX 4090. That's only doing that if you're playing a game that has DLSS 4 and will have that multi-frame generation. That's it. And they've already said that only 75 games at launch will have multi-frame generation. So there are people who immediately was like, oh my God, $550 for 4090 performance. And it's like, do you see what they're showing in the chart? They're showing you performance mode, which is no one wants to play in performance mode. People only want to play in quality mode with DLSS or balanced at the lowest. They don't want to do performance mode. In multi-frame generation, like we haven't seen it in action. When frame generation was first implemented, the latency was so bad, it was unplayable. It was first implemented, I remember seeing it coming in Forspoken. And what was the other game that had it initially? I can't remember what the other game was, but it was borderline unplayable until, it got better, and it will get better. Wherever it starts at, when it launches later this month, it will get better from there. But you have to understand that, that's where you're that's the trade-off you're getting from having AI machine learn software providing the heavy lifting for advancements off of these things. The pricing, though, this is where I want to really talk about what they're doing with this pricing. So I'm going to show, this is Blackwell specs. These are the specs and I know it's probably really hard to see. If you're on your phone, zoom in so you can see the specs better. If you're on a TV, you probably can see it well. If you're on a monitor, just go full screen or whatever. But I'm going to reveal what the heck NVIDIA is doing here. So NVIDIA, shout out to Hardware Unboxed for first revealing this a couple of months ago. The specs for the 5080 and 5090 were leaked 2 months ago. Me and Forte talked about this on the show. And back then, people were a little concerned with the number of CUDA cores that the 5080 had compared to what the 5090 had. Now, typically, And I'll use the 4090 and 4080 as an example. The 4080 has 60% of the CUDA cores that the 4090 has. The 5080 only has 49% of the CUDA cores that the 5090 had. It's a 10%, 11%, but roughly 10 to 11% drop in CUDA core count. That definitely is going to play a part in performance. Now, why am I making a big deal about this? So, last generation, if you remember, 2 years ago, Nvidia got into a little bit of trouble. You see, back when they did the 3000 series, they had two different 3080s. They had a 10 gigabyte 3080 and a 12 gigabyte 3080. And the only difference between the two was the VRAM allocation. And, you know, if you were fine with less VRAM for a cheaper price, you bought that and people were fine with it. And that was great. And then Nvidia saw that and thought, you know, okay, here's an opportunity to swindle some people. So they tried the same thing with the 4080. They had a 12 gigabyte 4080 and a 16 gigabyte 4080. But people realized, wait a minute, why is the die different for the same card? Why are you calling these both a 4080 if they're completely different die? They're completely different models. Turns out, the 12 gigabyte 4080 had the same die as the 4070. And people were like, you're trying to cheat people because this card isn't the same performance as the 16 gigabyte 4080. How are you calling that a 4080? So Nvidia took it away. And everyone danced in the streets. Yay, we got Nvidia to blink. Yeah. But then Nvidia was just like, all right, cool. In the future, we're not going to give ourselves our own L. We're not going to tell you or show you enough information for you to be able to hang this over our head. So instead, we're just going to show you a 5080. But when you look at the CUDA core count, you look at the VRAM allocation, yeah, this is really a 5070 Ti. When you look at the CUDA core count for the 4070 Ti, compared to the 4090 Forte, it's 50%.
Mm-hmm.
And yet now the 5080, this fake 5080 they're showing you, is 49% CUDA core count of the 4090. They're giving you a 5070 Ti and calling it a 5080. Typically in the past, the 5080 is the 5090 or the flagship card, just cut down a little bit. They're the same die. We already know these are not the same die. Why am I saying on this? Why is all this important? Let's look at the prices here. The 4090 was $1,600. The 5090, as I told y'all, it would be $2,000. So it's a $400 increase. The fake 5080 they're showing you is $999. It's half the price why is it half the price of the 5090? Because it's not a real 5080. The real 5080 would be a 5080 Ti they release next year. You can bank on that. I promise you it will. It'll be released somewhere. It'll be like between $1,400 and $600. It'll be revealed next year. But that would be actually the real 5080. What they're showing you right now is a 5070 Ti. The specs say so, but it being a 5070 Ti, that means it is $200 more expensive than what it really should be. Now let's go down the product stack. They have a 5070 Ti that they're showing. But what is that really? That's really the regular 5070. The regular 5070 last gen was $500. This one is $750. That's a $250 increase. And this current 5070, that's spec-wise, it has worse specs than the 4070 Super. Without the machine learning, without multi-frame generation, it will perform worse. Watch the benchmarks when they come out. Its specs are worse than the 4070 Super. Forget the fact that, unless GDR7 is so much faster for VRAM This thing will perform worse. That thing is $550. It should be, it really is a 5060. So that's like $150 increase. $200, something like that. That's what this coming down. They did this across the board, and they didn't show you too much this time. But if you look at the history of what Nvidia has done, and you look at and you look at how they have allocated like the VRAM usage, the CUDA core counts for all their GPUs, historically, everything with the 5000 series is lower on average than what the previous generations are. It is what it is. I just don't think too many people are discussing this. I don't think too many people are talking about this. The Nvidia is cheating everybody. They are calling cards what they aren't, and then slapping the price tag of what a higher tier car is that you would be like, oh, that's a steal. But when the actual performance of the card isn't on par with what they say it is, that's not a steal. You're getting cheated. All right, I'm gonna shut up now. I've talked a whole lot. Forte, what are your thoughts on all of this?
So I'm not gonna be long-winded as you are. You had to get a lot off your chest. My biggest thing that I noticed is if you look at the performance gaps, they're comparing these stats. If you think about it, so we're talking about it's more powerful than the 40 with the 5070, more power than the 4090. And I'm like, okay. And we had a conversation about this in the DMs with other people and stuff. You know, rationalization is going to be way higher on these cars due to the fact that it's going to be able to just, you know, perform better because of the core counts that it has. Now you are getting more, you're getting a better overall generation in 7X when it comes to the DDR7 RAM, which is going to definitely be like a 20 to 30% uplift right there alone. If you look at all the stats, it kind of, you know, bears that out. But the difference is the core counts aren't as drastic as people think they are. And the ones that they're comparing them to 4070s, not 4070 Ti's. If you look at all those graphs, you're like, where's the Ti's? Like, where's the 4070, not the Ti, the 4070 Super or the 4070 Ti? Where's the 4080 Super that lowered the price and raised and slightly raised the performance a little bit? So they're comparing these to the first generation of 40 series cards, not the later on generation when it came out with the Supers and the Ti's for the 70 and the 80. And I'm sitting there like, man, y'all are really getting people. Like, I'm looking at right now, 4070 Ti, $799 at launch. The 5070 Ti will be $50 less at $479, which is cool. The CUDA core count, 768 cores on the 4070, 8,960 on the 5070. The ray tracing cores are only a 10 difference, 60 cores versus 70 cores. Where the difference is where they're upcharging you where they're lowering the prices because the rasterization isn't going to be native on a hardware.
Exactly.
Because they're giving you a higher AI tops when it comes to like how much AI performance you're going to get. Where a 4070 Ti was only getting 641 tops versus 1406 tops on a 5070 Ti. So they can lower the price because the overall performance of the hardware is not even there. It's all going to be generated. Like I was telling SloMo the other day, I say we are paying for them to say, hey, I want you to give me better rate trace pixels, but then I want you to fake the other half of the pixels that the GPU can't make itself. And I'm sitting there. So that's where you see the reduction in price at, because I was thinking like, dang, NVIDIA is being really nice to people with these prices right now. I was expecting like $1,300 for the 70, for the 4080, and, you know, like $2,300 or at least like $2,300 for the 5090 or something. But they came in at a better price than I thought they was. Well, except for the 5090, that thing is still overpriced at $2,000. But It's just the fact that rasterization isn't native to these new graphics cards. Now the 5090 is still going to be head and shoulders the best GPU on the market, but when it comes to all the rest of the GPUs, it's like unless you are coming from a 30 series, you really have no reason to upgrade because you do get, I think you get 12 gigs of DDR7 with the 5070 base, and if you want to get 16, I think you got to go up to the TI. The 5080 goes up to the 16 gigs, which is the minimum you want, and then you get 32 gigs with the what's the name. I'm sorry, you still need as much RAM as possible because everybody's talking about all of these different size monitors, OLED monitors, running games at 4K. Y'all do realize that rasterization at 4K is really, really high. And these 5070s, without faking frame gen and doing double frame gen, you're not going to get the performance that you natively would get with a 4070, 4080, 4090, or any of those cards. Sure, they'll be more efficient, but what are you really looking at on the screen? You know, you're looking, basically you're paying Nvidia for their stock to go up because everything they do is through AI right now. Because that's the reason, that's the reason their stock went crazy. Let's be for real here, people. Nvidia stock, and I think I was watching Linus's video about it. He was talking about if you bought a 4070, a 4090 the day it came out, instead of buying that and you bought Nvidia stock, you would have made $20,000 in profit because Nvidia literally went up from $10 a share to over $150 a share. And that was all driven off of the AI advances they made that don't even really compete with gaming because that was all for commercial. That was all like military use and, cyber software and stuff like that. And now that's why it was such a big deal that they're bringing the AI suite more to the mainstream. And that's what you're paying for. You're paying for them to basically give you more compute in the sky versus more performance on your hardware itself. So that's why when people said, I will be really surprised when people start testing all of these games, because guess what? They also cherry picked every game they got a license with when it comes to Nvidia. Every game that was up there supports double frame gen. So what about the games that don't do that? So there's more games like that than there are games that do support it. So I just found it really, really interesting. Really, like all of these, like we had a lot of friends in this community, and a lot of them were just super happy, blown off their feet by this performance, saying, "Oh, man, the 4080 looks like the next bet for us." And I'm sitting there like, "Bro, this thing is not a potato. I won't disrespect it like that, but." I'd rather spend instead of doing a 4080, a 5080, I'd rather have a 4080 for the same price and have native hardware rasterization on my system and still be able to hit, higher frame rates with DLS 3.0 or 3.5 now, and wait and see what they do with the next generation hardware and stuff. Because right now you're basically,
but you have a 4090, like if you have a 4090, like Forte, you have a 4090, and no point at all should you even be considering an upgrade unless you're just the kind of person that you always want the latest and greatest, and you got the disposable income to do that. I'm not watching your pockets. I'm not pocket watching, but you don't need an upgrade. And Arcade's question says, so go AMD. Look, AMD. I wish AMD was better competition. The fact, I'm kind of annoyed with the way they did things at CES by not, speaking, strongly about their products. They're doing exactly what Nvidia did last generation with now with FSR4 being exclusive to the 9070 series GPUs. So if you have a 7900 XTX, you're not getting FSR4. Like, what is that? Like, that's ridiculous. Like, that is like, you're literally doing what Nvidia did that people didn't like Nvidia doing, and they were happy that you weren't doing, but now you're doing the same thing. And then you show a lack of confidence by talking about your product behind the scenes and having your partners show off your products, but you can't speak on it in your own press conference. So is AMD competition? Not really, because AMD seems content on waiting for Nvidia to drop their price and saying, okay, we'll be little brother and we'll be a little bit cheaper, while not providing anything that's uniquely different than what our competition already does. We really need Intel to step up in this arena somehow. But Intel is a freaking disaster over the past year. And so like, and we got like more data coming out on their latest GPU that got a lot of like good publicity on the B580. And turns out that thing, driver side is still a mess. And so, I say all that to say this, right? Don't let us curb stomping Nvidia's face right now change whether, if you're looking for a new GPU, not buying one of these cards. And I'll say this, like, if you have a 4000 series card, there's no reason for you to upgrade. This is not a real upgrade for you. The only thing you're missing is multi-frame generation, and you might get that in a year from now on your current GPU. So just chill. But if you have like a 3000 series cards or lower, if you have an older AMD card, don't let us like taking Nvidia to task on the marginal improvements between the 5000 series and the 4000 series deter you from buying something that would be an actual improvement for your gaming rig. If you've got a 3080, for example, look at what is out there that is within what you want to pay. And I will say this, if it's within, if the GPU you're looking at to upgrade is a 30 to 40% increase in pure performance, in pure rasterization, get it.
Yeah.
Because none of this other stuff affects you. You have an older card, you're getting less performance, and you're going to get more.
Yep.
And if that is going to the 9070 XT when AMD finally, gets their head out of their butt and actually shows it properly, and of course, don't take what I'm showing on the screen as your evidence of why you should do that. Ignore this crap, because this is what these companies do. They give you cherry pick games with cherry pick funny looking benchmarks and then got a whole paragraph in small print at the bottom explaining it all. Forget all that. Wait for the cards to be released. Wait for independent tech reviewers and tech tubers who get these cards actually get a actual 5090 in their hands, and they will test it. They will test it against other GPUs on test benches built for this kind of thing, and you will get actual performance. They're going to test it with pure rasterization, with none of the upscaling stuff on, so that you can see exactly what the performance is. They're going to test it with that stuff on. They're going to talk about how the games play with multi-frame generation on. Is the latency awful? They're going to talk about all these things. And then once you know what the actual performance is, then you make the decision on if you want to upgrade or not. That's all I got. Anything else you want to say, Forte?
No, man. It was just like I said. It was just funny. Jansen was up there tap dancing and telling everybody what they wanted to hear, and they just kept going along with it. And he even set people up. He was like talking about $10,000 PCs, and if you bought a 4090,
that was some nonsense. He said, "Yeah, man, shut up, shut up, Jensen."
He said you took it home to a $10,000 battle station, and it's like one of the best. He said it was the best investment you could ever make, and then he wanted to hit you upside the head and tell you, "But guess what? We got a 5070." That's better than your 4090, and my mouth dropped to the ground, bro. I was like, "What?"
I have all the charts that they showed for the 57, like all the 50. They only compared them to the previous version of that, but they're all so similar. It's almost like you can't tell the difference. Like I was showing for a while the 5070 performance compared to the 4070. Here's the 5070 Ti compared to the 4070 Ti. It almost looks like the same exact chart. I'm going to show the 5080. The 5080 is here. almost the same difference. It's when Far Cry 6 and the Plague Tale Requiem is not using multi-frame generation. That's why you see the performance so much closer. And it's just
it's like they just out here kidding people, bro.
But it's you see it so much closer. But when you look into the fact that the 5080 is using DLSS 4, whereas the 4080 is using DLSS 3. I mean, technically it's probably 3.8. Right. I think that's where they're at right now, but 3.8. But this chart is bunk because when the 5080 comes out, DLSS 4 is available everywhere to all cards. So the same uplift, sure, you're gonna have more efficient cores in GDDR7 for the 5080, but I doubt that the differences that you see right now with Far Cry 6 and the Plague Tale Requiem are going to be that much. And there's not even really that much when you think about it. Look at where like the little numbers to the left where the baseline is and where it goes up. That's not a lot.
It's not.
So I'll pull up the 5090. It's literally the same thing. It's do I have that? Okay, here's a 5090. It's the same thing. So just wait until your favorite tech tuber. It could be Gamer Nexus. It could be J2 Cents, even though I don't think he's fully accurate. It could be Hardware Unboxed. They're my go-to. It could even be Linus Tech Tips, even though he's super inaccurate all the time. Wait till your favorite tech tuber does their get into their lab and do their analysis and testing before you make that jump. And the last thing I'm gonna say on this, and then I'll give it to Forte, and then we can move on and end the show. Shout out to all the guys out there that have been talking all this stuff about PC gamers getting scammed and Nvidia is a scam. Scam. Fake frames. Oh, it's fake frames now. But you weren't saying fake frames when you were talking about how you playing Black Myth Wukong in performance mode at 60 FPS and 60 FPS on your PlayStation 5. How do you think you got that 60 FPS? It was through AMD's frame generation that you were able to get, and then that was proven. They started at 30 FPS and then they used frame gen to get up to 60, which is not the preferred method of doing frame generation, which is why it wasn't all that great on your PS5. But you didn't complain about that. You said, "Oh, we got 60 FPS performance." When Mark Cerny talked about that pure rasterization is no longer the wave, you're going to need AI machine learning to get further advancements going on in the future. You guys championed that. But Mark Cerny wasn't the first person to say that. Nvidia been saying that. And then now, when they come out with even more AI machine learning, you guys are all like, "Oh, fake frames, fake performance. It's not real. You spending all this money for fake stuff." But y'all love Pisser. But you love PSSR. The hypocrisy is deafening. It's bad. It's terrible. Like, do y'all remember y'all talking points? I mean, it's funny. It's funny. It's hilarious. So don't throw stones when you live in a glass house.
Right.
Just is what it is. Anything else you want to say before we wrap it up, man?
That's it, bro.
All right. So, great show as usual, Mr. Gamer Forte. Let everyone know where they can find you, sir.
Sir, they can find me at Gaming Forte on YouTube and Twitter, Xbox Live, PlayStation, and Blue Skies. Great show as always, man. This was exactly what I thought it was going to be, and very entertaining, just like all of the waffling during that Nvidia press conference. But no, man, definitely appreciate everybody. Check out my video going live tomorrow morning about the Xbox Direct, just talking about some other stuff that I was thinking of. But please enjoy the rest of your day, enjoy your weekend, and everybody pray that Ohio State's beat Texas tomorrow, because we don't want to see Ohio State win anything.
wait. You said pray did they beat Texas?
No, that Texas beats Ohio State.
Okay, so you said the opposite. I kind of feel like that might be.
Oh no,
yeah,
no.
you did.
Oh, that was a bad omen. No, I gotta find a wall to knock on. What did I just do?
Hey man, it's like you just made Ohio State a winner. I don't know, man.
Well, the funny thing is, I did put money on Ohio State, some of their players and stuff. I just didn't pick them to win.
Yeah. Real quick, Brian, he says, slow-mo devil's advocate moment here. Cerny was upfront about how the sausage was made. We just saw the guy yesterday talk about more power, no nuance. So to be fair, Jensen did talk a lot about AI and what it was doing and machine learning and all that stuff. And in prior months, they have been saying the same things that Cerny has been saying. They've actually been saying that for over a year, that the advancements you're going to see going forward isn't going to be from the way traditional rendering is done. It's going to be through AI and stuff. So that's just, I'm not talking about just like their NVIDIA press conference where, Jensen was up there being a magician, trying to entice people to spend, ridiculous amounts of money and acting like that's normal. But in regards to the future of tech, the things that he was saying in regards to that, like that's the stuff that Cerny's been saying. NVIDIA has been saying that for a while now. So that's what I meant about that. And I agree about, like, I don't care about fake frames. I know a lot of people make a big deal about it. I don't make a big deal about it because it's where everyone's going. AMD is doing it. NVIDIA is doing it. Sony's doing it. When Microsoft is also working on their own upscaler, they're going to be doing it. Literally no one is going to be, there is no going back to pure rasterization. Let that go. That ship has sailed. And I think people, once you realize where like it's going, when it comes to the future technology, then you'll just get over it. It is what it is. I'm not broken up over it, and I turn on DLSS quality all the freaking time because I want it. Because I know at this point DLSS quality looks almost on par with native resolution and temporal anti-aliasing, or it has and many times looked better. And I've told people this, and people go, "Oh, that's not true," but they don't use it at all. They don't know what they're talking about at all. And then I go show them a graphic from people who have tested, the actual games running with native resolution and temporal anti-aliasing versus NVIDIA's solution, and where many times, like half the time, it's either a tie or DLSS quality looks better. So, like people can make a big deal about fake frames and they'll do that, and then they'll go use it anyway because they love to complain about stuff. So it is what it is. Anyway. About myself, I will probably stream something. I know I've been talking about streaming, but it's going to be a little bit difficult. Maybe I'll stream something tomorrow. We'll have to see. Saturday is my daughter's 9th birthday, so I will not be doing anything that day because that's her day. It's going to
What day is it?
The 11th, the 9th. That's her birthday on Saturday.
Happy
so
birthday.
I won't be. Yeah, she's so excited. So she's going to have a good time with that. We're gonna have a good time all together. So
how did you just get killed on the ground when you dolphin dived over there to shoot that thing, and then somebody still popped you?
Oh no, I shot it was too close to me. I think it was one of those blast caps. It was too close. I thought it was far enough away for me to destroy it without killing myself, and I was wrong.
I was wrong.
Yeah. All right. We're getting out of here. And guys, enjoy the rest of your evening. Enjoy your games. And peace out, man.
Peace out. Drew Allard just blew